We start with breaking news tonight. Police in several states believe this young Missouri girl is in very serious danger. Tonight, they issued an Amber Alert in 3 states for 10-year-old Hailey Owens of Springfield. Here's what they say happened. Police say the man who took her may be driving a gold early 2000s Ford Ranger pickup truck.
This is the last photo of 10-year-old Hailey Owens before she was kidnapped, essayed, and murdered by a Springfield, Missouri middle school football coach. She was tortured by a sick predator for the last 45 minutes of her life. Hello, my name is Holly. Welcome to this little murder she shed, the place we discuss rarely told true crime right from my little she shed. Before we begin, make sure you smash the subscribe button so you can find this nerdy Southern girl that's sitting in the she shed at least once weekly telling you true crime. And I love to have you here. So with my little puppies down here, Simon and Max, Simon's coming. He's going to greet you before it even starts today. They're locked in here with me because it's pouring down rain outside. And they don't want to be outside apparently today. And they didn't want to stay in the house either, so here we are, all confined in this little she shed together with Max behind me itching. So it is what it is. So if you hear thunder or dogs, I apologize. Yeah, kind of like that. I'll go lay down so I can finish this video, okay? Hailey Owens was born on August 18, 2003 in Springfield, Missouri, to parents bio dad Marcus Ryan Owens and bio mom Stacy Barfield. She was a 4th grader at Westport Elementary. Before Hailey was 4 years old, her mother had met and married Hailey's stepfather, Jeffrey Barfield. You'll find later he also has a dark side. Yeah, let's just get back to that later. The couple and Hailey lived in a rent home in Springfield, Missouri. Hailey loved to laugh, smile, and dance. At times, Hailey was a girly girl who loved painting her fingernails, watching princess movies, playing dress up, getting her hair fixed, all them girly things. Other times she was a tomboy who loved playing in the mud and riding her bike in the creek. I get that. When I was little, I liked to go from Barbies to mud pies to mud wrestling. So I get that. Riding horses to 4-wheeling to fishing with my brother to playing dolls. I was a wide variety type girl. Same as her. So I appreciate that she liked to do all things like that. That is best kind of girls, if you ask me. On February 18, 2014, Hailey had been playing with her phone all day. Mostly taking pictures, just clicking and taking pictures of everything she walked by that day. 14 selfies, her dog, family, friends, stuffed animals, the neighborhood where she was walking, and also her friends' handwritten lyrics to popular songs. She took a picture of that. Hailey decided to visit a friend, and around 4:45 that evening, while walking home from her friend Mackenzie's house, who lived in her neighborhood, she came face to face with a monster. It just so happened that very afternoon, neighbors Carlos and Michelle Edwards were cleaning out their garage and doing some yard work around the house when they saw little Hailey walk by on the sidewalk. The couple saw a tan Ford Ranger drive past Hailey. The truck turned around and pulled up beside Hailey to ask her for directions. So they started watching. Hailey, they heard her say she didn't know where the street was that he was looking for, and she walked away from the truck. As Hailey began to walk away, the driver of the truck opened the door and called after her, "Hey, come here for a minute." As Hailey stepped towards the truck, the driver lunged at her and pulled her into the truck. How terrifying that must have been for the neighbors. Thinking, that could be my little girl. What would I do if that was my little girl? And Carlos knew exactly what he would do. Carlos ran toward the truck, shouting at the driver to stop. Carlos was a former bull rider and high school football standout, and he sprinted towards the truck with his arms stretched out, trying to grab anything he could and pleading with the driver to stop. He almost made it. I mean, the man didn't even have time to shut his truck door before he sped away. Carlos was so quick.
The girl come walking this way on her phone texting, and I guess went to her friend's house. That's what her mom said. and he come this way and turned around at the stop sign, and she was coming this way, I guess going back home. And he stopped her right here in the ditch and asked her if she knew where Springfield Street's at. And she said no and went to take off walking. And he opened his door and said, "Come here for a minute." And she walked up to his truck, and as soon as she got in hand's reach, he grabbed her, threw over him into the passenger seat, and took off. That was it.
Meanwhile, his wife Michelle called 911 and told the operator everything that they saw. She provided a detailed description of the driver, the truck, and she even provided his license plate number. Another neighbor found Haley's cell phone in their yard and handed that in to the police. The statewide Amber Alert about Haley's abductions didn't go out until more than 2 hours after the initial 911 call. Later, Haley's Law would be established, which acted to speed up the Amber Alert system by going from paper to an electronic system.
Hailey Owens, she's 10 years old. We have reports that she was walking near her home today, and a white male subject in a Ford Ranger pickup grabbed her and took her from here. We've got independent witnesses of that. We don't know where Haley is. We don't know if she knew the man. We don't think that she does, and we're looking for her.
The license plate number led them back to Jim and Jeannie Wood's house. And they told the officers that although the truck was registered to them, it actually belonged to their son, Craig Wood, who resided 12 minutes away from where Haley was kidnapped. Around 8 p.m., police officers drove by Wood's home, but they didn't see no vehicles or activity, so they just set up stake and waited. About 8:30 p.m., vehicle matching that description with the license plate number pulled up into the driveway. Craig Wood got out of the truck, and the officer then identified themselves. Hearing startled, Craig said hello and walked toward them. He tossed a roll of duct tape into the truck bed. On the dashboard, a bag held a pipe and lighter. Beer cans littered the passenger floorboard. Craig complied with the officer's request. When asked if he knew why they were there, Wood nodded yes. He appeared nervous, began breathing heavy, and the smell of bleach exuded off of his body. After the officers took him to police headquarters for an interview, he denied any involvement and said that he had been in a laundromat doing laundry. Craig also told officers he made 2 trips to Walmart earlier in the day to purchase bleach and also drain cleaner. The police noticed a little dry blood on his upper lip and pinky finger. He also had scratches on his neck and groin area. His hat appeared bloodstained. Officers went into Craig's house to look for Haley. They entered through an unlocked back door. A strong odor of bleach emanated from the basement. The basement steps and floor were wet. A fan was running and a scrap of duct tape was on the floor. There were empty bleach bottles and several plastic storage tubs. The officers secured the house and left. They knew at this point that Haley would probably not be alive from what they saw. So they needed a search warrant to search his home. They had so much evidence against him that they were able to get a search warrant fairly quickly. After obtaining a search warrant, the officers returned and fully searched Wood's home. Wood's bed was stripped of sheets and blankets. On the bedroom dresser, police found a purple folder containing 2 handwritten stories detailing fantasies or encounters between an adult male and 13-year-old girls. In one 3-page story he had actually wrote. In it, Craig drugged a 13-year-old he was babysitting and then filmed himself essaying the unconscious girl in every way possible. In the other 6-page story, Craig and a 13-year-old girl played truth or dare, escalating into, and then I have to bleep out all that. Oh, YouTube and its rules. The folder also contained photographs of 4 girls who were students at the middle school where Craig worked as an aide and a football coach. It also contained the schedules of 2 of those girls. Knew exactly where they was at all times. The folder was also filled with child images. Last, the folder held a handwritten fictional letter dated May 30, 1986, in which a female discussed a consensual encounter. It does not mention if this female was a minor or not. In the basement, officers noticed actually several 35-gallon tubs, and they were nervous about what they'd find inside these. They slowly removed the lid of the top one. They didn't find anything, but then they removed the lid of the container setting on the bottom. It appeared that he'd taken whatever contents that was inside this, or at least one of the boxes, and laid up on top of other Tupperware boxes, as you can see in this picture. He had all the contents laying up there, so they knew they had taken stuff out to fit something in. This was a bad sign. This bottom container, they slowly removed the lid, and then they saw 2 black plastic bags, which they opened and found Haley's nude body inside. Haley's body was stiffened from rigor mortis, was wet, and smelled of bleach. Her lips, cheek, and ear were bruised. Ligature marks indicated Wood tied Haley by the wrist, and she struggled to free herself. Haley had a gunshot to the back of her neck at the base of the skull. 22 caliber shell casings lay on the basement floor. The shell casing was fired from a 22 caliber rifle locked inside a safe in a storage room. Haley's privates, both front and back, were bruised and torn from being. This little girl had been bound and by this evil monster for 45 minutes. We know 45 minutes because less than an hour after the abduction, he was seen on the Walmart camera buying bleach, drain cleaner, and a laundry bag. The autopsy revealed possible bruising at the base of Haley's thumb, suggesting her hand had been gripped and held down, and ligature abrasions and contusions on her wrist, suggesting she had struggled against her restraints. She had a bruise on her left cheek and lip, 2 scrapes on her lower abdomen, and a scrape and bruise beneath her right ear. Her body was tested for the presence of semen, but none was found. After Haley's death, however, he had poured bleach on Haley's body, attempting to hide any DNA. This could be the reason no semen was found. A swab from the passenger side armrest of Wood's truck contained a mixture of DNA. Haley was the major contributor of this DNA. Her DNA was also found on Craig's t-shirt. Officers discovered Haley's clothing in a dumpster behind a strip mall near Wood's home. Surveillance video showed Woods actually placing Haley's clothes inside this dumpster. Craig was arrested for murder, but no one could even believe Craig was capable of killing anyone.
Announced today that we have charged Craig Michael Wood, 45 of Springfield, with the tragic murder of Hailey Owens that occurred on yesterday. He's been charged with first-degree murder, armed criminal action, and child kidnapping. While they tragically were not able to save Haley, I want to express my appreciation to the citizens who are aware and alerted law enforcement, and to the Springfield Police Department and the Federal Bureau of Investigation, whose swift action, along with my Chief Assistant Todd Myers, allowed for the quick and speedy capture and charging of this offender. My office is committed to seeking justice for Haley.
In a shirt and tie at his attorney's request, Craig Michael Wood, the man accused of killing 10-year-old Hailey Owens, appeared in court in person for the first time Wednesday. Haley's parents, Jeff and Stacy Barfield, attended the hearing along with several other family members.
Until the afternoon of February 18, 2014, Craig Wood seemed just like a regular guy. At age 45, he had no prior criminal history, only a misdemeanor possession of weed and a drunk driving charge. He was a loving and devoted son who on most days in any type of weather drove to his parents' farm to help them by caring for all their animals and doing heavy work. According to his family, he was good with the animals, very calm, and trained the horses. Wood coached football at a middle school and a high school, and he also supervised in school suspensions at the middle school. He was well liked. He was thought of as a good coach and a good person. In the 8 years Wood had been in the school, there had never been a complaint about inappropriate behavior. Even the girls whose names were found in that purple folder said he never displayed any inappropriate behavior towards them. When Wood was arrested, his friends and co-workers were just in shock and disbelief because the crime was so far out of his character. They all said Wood was not a violent person. He was much more likely to break up a fight than to start one. None of Wood's friends or co-workers ever had an inkling that Wood fantasized about young teenage girls. When Wood was 18, a fire broke out in his apartment building one night. Wood warned the upstairs neighbors, and he even ran around to the front of the building, kicked in the door, and carried out the elderly man who lived there, saving him from the fire. Craig was known as a functional alcoholic who smoked weed daily. 6 months before Haley's death, he had started using actually quite often. Perhaps coincidentally, Haley's mother and her stepdad, Jeffrey Barfield, also used. Also, a few years after Haley's death, her stepdad, Jeffrey Barfield, was arrested for possession of child. He also admitted to engaging in role-playing online chats with adults who were attracted to children or predators. His interest in child started 2 years before Haley's death, although it was said that Barfield had no connection to Wood. They didn't know each other. I just find it unusual or weird that they have so much in common. Like, you think people that use would pretty much know other people use and have that link in common. Plus, you've got, pedophiles know about other pedophiles and they have that link in common. Just find it weird in this town. They actually didn't know each other, but that's what is alleged.
The stepfather of Hailey Owens will spend 7 years behind bars now and serve another 10 years probation.
40-year-old Jeffrey Barfield was sentenced today for federal child charges. He pleaded guilty to sharing explicit images of underage girls online earlier this year.
Federal prosecutors asked for 12 years in prison due to the nature of the crime, calling it disturbing. They argued that Barfield is a danger to the community and victimized a substantial number of children and knowingly posted images of child.
Tragedy ended up with 2 families being victims. The only person that's responsible for the crime is Craig himself.
Barfield had allegedly not essayed Haley either, although I don't know how they could conclude that, since the only person who would have confirmed this was now dead. The video of Jeffrey Barfield talking was a year before he was arrested for charges in 2017. Craig Wood was charged with 1 count of first-degree murder, 1 count of armed criminal action, 1 count of child kidnapping, 1 count of and 1 count of and was sentenced to death. Last year, Craig Wood tried to fight the death sentence, but the Missouri Supreme Court denied him, so he's going to have to die for what he did. And he's getting the easy way out. What he did to his victim, I don't feel sorry for the guy. The guy deserves much more than what he's getting.
They said Springfield police identified themselves, and so I walked toward them. They said, one of them said, drop the tape or put down the tape. At which point I put it in the bed of the truck and kept walking forward. One of them said, do you know why we're here? And I shook my head.
Were you under the influence of any controlled substance?
Yes.
What?
Over 10,000 people attended a vigil for Haley in downtown Springfield. The crime changed how residents saw Springfield. It was no longer a town, but a city. Countless parents no longer let their children play unsupervised in the front yard, and they think a lot harder before they let their kids walk to school or just walk down the street to their friend's house.
Because this was one of our children. It's not just theirs. And I want them to know that the city stands behind them.
Craig Wood's father and mother, along with Haley's mother, Stacy, and bio-father Marcus Owens, helped push for Haley's law to pass. Ironically, Jeff Barfield was also pushing for the law to pass before he was arrested. Stacy's heart was broken from the sudden loss of her little girl.
I just fell on the floor. I was like beside myself. My husband came running around the corner and he's like, what's going on? And I'm like, you don't want to see this. Why do they go after little kids or anything like that? You know, I mean, mind their own business.
And I do hope that she received the help she needed to get off drugs. Not putting her down at all for having a drug addiction. Many people suffer from drug addiction, including myself, when I was younger, before I received the counseling I so needed from being SA'd as a child by my neighbor. Stacy most likely had a hard life herself, which caused her to go down that path, and I hope she did get the counseling she needed as well. May you forever rest in peace, Hailey Owens. This is one of those cases that shows us the way a person looks or acts in public does not define how they act in private. Everyone was shocked by the acts that Craig Wood was capable of, but underneath the exterior, he was a true monster. The moral of the story, you can never be too careful with your children because monsters are everywhere in disguise. Might not know they're a monster. They easily hide. Could be anywhere around you, and that's what makes it so scary. Even let our children anywhere. I know I was probably a bit too protective of my children. They're grown now, and I have a grandbaby. Probably be the same with her. I had 2 boys, and I made sure they went in the women's bathroom with me. They were pretty grown before they had to. They were probably embarrassingly big for in the girls' bathroom. That's what's sad about it. I might have been a teeny tiny too strict, but I just wanted to protect my children. I loved so much. Same with my granddaughter. And he knows it's about time for it to be over, and he's coming to say bye. There's Max, too. They're both standing down here. They wish y'all the best week. And I'm going to go to a bike rally this weekend. So I'll see y'all when I get back. Love y'all. Bye.